Good day. It's going to be a great day today. Hopefully. We're going to put the steering column in. We're going to fit it to the car with the steering wheel, which I want to show you. It's beautiful. I got to paint the steering wheel. So we're going to put the steering column in, we hope. Then we're going to hook up some wire to these BMW seats we have. They're electric. They do all kinds of fancy things, gizmotrons all over the place. So we're going to hook up them, move them forward and back, put them in the car, and try to make them level and make them fit to the steering wheel. To mount the steering wheel, we're going to put in the brake pedal. Fuel pedal we can put anywhere we want. It's fuel by wire, no linkage, it's just electronic maybe. So we're going to put this in, which is an original one. This goes up to the firewall, and this is where the column is supported. And then we can tell where our feet want to be when we have it set up with the seat and the steering wheel. It's all got to work together, right? So that's what I'm going to be up to. We've got the steering column here, which is now. This isn't exactly an original steering column. Now he wants this painted, which is great. A lot of times I've installed these where they're like polished, highly polished stainless, highly polished aluminum, and if you look at them, they get scratched. So if you're doing one of those, generally you cover these in a bag, masking tape every square inch of them, because they just get scratched, and then you got to put it in the car. And so this, anyhow, I don't have to worry about too much. It's got a brushed finish, but we're going to be painting it anyhow. So I've got to fit this in, and then the wheel, and then we can see where our seats are going to go. So there's a lot of little different things we have to worry about. I've got the engine covered up with a jacket here. So we're going to slide this in. Well, first I'm going to stick the pedal support in. And that's what holds the top of the column. We're going to stick this in. Got some non-factory bolts here, but we'll get this going here. Let me see. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but anyhow, just a couple bolts to stick in. There, I think. Yes. Wait. I'm gonna go up top. What was I thinking? Okay. And we're just doing mock-up, so I don't have to put all the bolts in. I don't even have to really tighten them up. Got to put a couple in. And we'll see how this works out. Okay. We're going to put two in there just to make sure it's level. Always a good thing. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to find another method. Alright, so we've got that sitting in. Here's the bottom half, this holds up the column. So, and there's rubber that goes around. I guess I gotta put this down so you can see it better. Alright, we are going to try to fit it. Now, when you're putting in columns, they have what we call double D. So if you look at the end of that shaft, it's like 2 Ds back to back. Now that could be wrong, but as far as I know, that's why they call it a double D shaft. And then there's spline shafts, and you have to count the splines to make sure you get the right one. This has a double D coming off of the steering box. Anyhow, I'm gonna try to slide this in. And I want to put this in where it belongs. Now, this is an aftermarket column. It comes, there's different wiring setups you can get. So this is going to go and be held. Now, it's going to be a bit sloppy here because I'm not putting the rubbers in the mount. There's also a bottom mount that goes against the firewall. That's not here yet, but I can absolutely figure out where I want to have this sit in relation, you know, put the steering wheel on and figure where I want the seat sitting based on how this all fits. I just realized I might have had music on while I was doing the previous part of this. So I'll do it again. All right. Okay, this is the aftermarket column. We have our brace in for the brake support. This is the factory piece. Now we have this aftermarket column, tilt column. This has got to sit down. There's a piece of a rubber that goes in here. I don't need any of that for what I'm doing. It goes up and down. We got to put the steering wheel on here, and then we can put a seat in and figure out where to mount the seat. Also, the seats are electric, so I've got to play with the wiring on them. So what now I'm running into is this column is not fitting with the double D. Basically, it's called a double D shaft. Back-to-back D's would give you the shape of double D, like that. You see that? So that's a double D shaft. And that's what we have here. There's splines, there's all kinds of different splines, counts for different vehicles. So you gotta count that stuff. Anyhow, he has installed this box, which is really awesome. I'm going to loosen it. You can see it's down in the bottom part of the holes. So he's just put stuff on here. Now we have to fit everything, right? So I'm going to loosen these bolts, angle that up just a hair. And if that doesn't do it, and also we haven't tightened down our body mounts. So when you tighten this down, that would pull it down. It's probably coming down another 1/8 of an inch. And that's almost going to do it, but not quite. Now, I may have to cut out this hole here. And none of that is a problem. You do what you have to do to make things work. But I think we're going to be able to loosen this and angle it up just a hair. So that's what I'm going to try right now. Okay. Now, I'll just back this off of here. Ooh. Okay. Well, they are tight. And it is steering. So of course it is. When you're putting steering shafts together, you'll normally use blue Loctite, which means you could take it apart with heat, without heat. Sorry, very important. Instead of red Loctite. Oh yeah, that one's a little snug. Okay. And inside the frame, there's usually sleeves in here, so when you tighten it up, it doesn't want to crush the frame. I know it's a heavy duty frame, but that's generally how they're done. Which way am I going here? Am I on it? Yes, I am. Okay. Oh my word. Okay. That's loose. Oh, good morning. Now let's see if we gained anything. Oh, we gained a little bit. You see that? Oh. Yes. That got us enough. And he was also talking about having just enough room. I'm going to show you in here. So I can get a piece of paper through there. But a little cleaning up to do. This is the new steering column designed for the 5567 Chevy.
Oh, I see.
And this is a Borgenson steering box. Because the original steering box for these cars was one piece, box and shaft all the way up.
I see.
Which would have been really bad in a car accident.
Yes.
But so now I've got to get a rag joint that fits here and goes to there. So I'm just trying to order one up. And I hit a problem.
And if that,
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
eh?
It doesn't fit on there. It's close. But,
Well, as far as lineup though.
oh yeah, it's good if it's gonna line up nice.
Yeah.
So I can put the steering wheel on and I can figure out where the seat goes and centered.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Lyle last night, so I'm gonna wire up the electric seats so I can set them. And I've got to figure out where to put the shifter as well. It's an automatic, so.
Oh, it is an automatic.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it.
Well, you can have a coffee while you're driving, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I got the the tunnel finished yesterday.
I see.
That piece in the middle.
Yep. And that's
cut
all
that
it took. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, simple enough. So that's where we're at. Right now I got to call Pat's to solve my problems once again. Okay, we gotta mount this where it's gonna sit. I have to order a rag joint, like I said. Ran into a bit of a problem there. Not a problem, I just don't have a rag joint with me. So, I will call Pat's Auto and get them to help me out with that. This is gonna sit roughly like that. Now, what's really important when you're doing this is that you get this centered. So, that's what I'm trying to do as best I can. Which isn't really easy, but anyhow, that's what we're doing. Right. Got the bottom sitting down, the top sitting up. Okay. Now we're gonna go get this incredible steering wheel. It's a beauty. We're gonna put it on. Okay, it comes in a couple of different bags. Dig this. Now we are going to paint it. So, anyhow, right now, oh, we've got a pop horn. Yes. Looking for a keyway, making sure splines fit. Okay, now what's going on? Not real. This is designed for 567 Chevy, and so is this steering wheel. I gotta line up the horn. There we go. Okay. Now, I don't want the thing falling off on me. Now this is way smaller than the factory wheel because we don't need a giant wheel. We have science. We have power steering. We just don't have to have the ginormous wheel that was really helpful if you didn't have power steering and all the rest of it. So, now I'm going to grab a seat and we're going to set it in place and see what it looks like. Oh. I think these seats, it's like when you buy kitchen taps, the heavier ones are the best. Well, these are pretty heavy seats. And I got a bunch of motors on. Okay. I believe he'll be losing the headrest. Gotta figure out how to make it tilt back. I'm guessing that's up here. Oh, I may have to hook up the power. Yeah. Okay. I've got a whole bunch of wires here. I've got to hook up, make this thing work. So, be back in a flash. Okay. I am going to hook up the seats. I had them hooked up to a battery. Battery was kind of dead. That's ground. That's hot. I don't want that sitting on the steel. Right? So, it's a bit of a haywire rigging. Now we'll see if this works. Aha! Okay, see that? Does it go forward? Okay, both tracks are moving together. This is important. I want to see how much travel I have. Wow. I'm gonna go all the way back and measure this. That's freaking crazy. Tons of movement. Okay, let me get a tape measure. All right, I'm gonna see how much travel there is in this seat. Pretty important. So right now, we've got 6 1/4 inches out back there. So how does this work? Whoop, that's what works. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, so 6 1/4 out and 2 1/4 in. Wow, that's 8.5 inches travel. That's a lot. So that's all the way back. So I mean, I can set that seat up there. Okay, and more tilt the top back a bit. I think that's about right. Wow, that's all the way back. That is freaking huge back. I'm gonna have a seat just for the heck of it and see how it looks. See how it feels. All right, I've got to try to part the seat down. Just for now, I'll use one of the original bolt holes. Just so you get a starting point, right? So, see how that looks. I like it. I mean, this tilts up. We're sitting, you know, I'm gonna see if I can lower this seat down. I think I'm sitting on too high in the car, because there is a lot of gizmotrons down here that raise it up. I believe I could drop 1.5 inches on this side. So I might try that. I'm pretty close to centered on the wheel. I'm gonna draw some marks on the floor. Yeah, I do feel I'm pretty centered on the floor. So, I'm gonna draw this down. This one's sitting right here. It's hard to say. This side I could drop down and that might be enough. This side is all right. If you look at the factory floor, there's a good 1.25 to 1.5 inch difference between this edge and this inboard edge. So I think I've got to lower this inboard edge down. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do that. And I think I should be a little bit, just a hair farther back. But you go down, that changes the angle of your legs. Also, this has this super cool thing here, and that supports your legs. But yes, this needs to be back a little bit. So I'm gonna pull it out. Gotta do some measuring. It's always scary when you're fitting the car without the owner. So I'm gonna cut a hole in the floor and drop it down. Whoa! That was close. Scary too. Yeah, so you can see this is up way higher. If I cut that out, but I have to go underneath the car and make sure there's nothing in the way, such as the exhaust or something else. So I'm gonna go underneath and have a look. This height here works pretty good, but it makes me want to take out this. And the electric motors are down low. That means I'd have to take this whole section down, which isn't a big deal. There's the big floor support that goes underneath the body right here. So I have to go under the car and see if there's a way to replace that down lower. Because then I would just take this section out and probably just set it down and put it back in. Be kind of cool. And I could go to the tunnel a little more because I'd like to have a little clearance on that side. So right now that's what I got to look at doing. So we'll see what happens here. After careful review, this seat, this pedestal here, I'm going to take it down to this height here. There's not much head clearance, especially once you put in a fabric headliner. That gets very tight up there. So I'm going to cut along here. Now there's a floor brace that goes across here. So I'm going to cut into the middle of this. Actually, I'm going to cut the floor right at this edge. And I'm going to cut up here so I can get a little bit more room. I'd like to be that way another 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut up here. And I'm going to cut down here. And I'm going to lower that piece and weld it back in at this height. Right? So that'll be down there. Problem is I got a big floor support here. So I'm going to cut out at the front of it. And then I am going to only take about half of that floor support out. Now, if you look underneath, can we see it? You can kind of see it up in there. It's fairly tall. So, I got to take about half of that. So, I'm going to cut the floor out here first, and I'll deal with that separately. Once I have it cut out, I can cut along. You'll see. We're going to reinforce that when I cut it apart to make up for the loss of height in the brace. You'll see what we're going to do, you know, from my countless years of engineering school. Right,
All right, here goes. Oh, I have a spot here. I gotta drill a couple of spot welds. Right. 2, 3, 4. Okay, get my drill. Okay. Okay, these cars, this used to have a bench seat in it. And that's why there's no mounts in the center section here. So I'm just gonna try to get this pried out of here. Oh, there's a couple in the bottom there, I guess. Yes, there's one anyhow. Okay, look at that. So what's important to see? I can cut this off and make it go flat. And that will support the floor here. The seat bolts way out here. Back here, we have this tall support. And we have a body mount right here. I only need to take it down. By the time we get back here, like it's pretty tall here, but I only need to take about 5/8 of an inch off. And I'm quite confident I can do that. And if necessary, I can put a brace, a vertical brace of heavier steel on the inside of this channel. And that will replace any strength we lose from the height. But I am pretty confident that there's virtually nothing to worry about here. So what I will do now is I will hammer this flat so I can do an overlap and spot weld. This side over here, we're going to be sitting down about there. So I'm just going to have to add a piece, and I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that. I'll worry about that when I get there. That's the last piece I'll make. First thing, flatten this out, so I'll cut the edges so I can just fold it out. Same here. And we'll hammer that out. And I'll let you see how we figure this all out in the end. 'Cause right now I'm not even sure, but we'll see. That's the fun of it. Okay, now I'm going to carefully get rid of this brace. So that's flush. I think I'm going to put a plate over that just so I can carry on from underneath. It'll look factory-ish. I'll just have to grind that down a hair. But I've got my other piece here, roughly. Okay. So, we're close. Obviously, just needs some more hammering. So I'm going to take care of that right now. Yes. It's going to sit down about there. So I just need to do a bunch more hammering. But I'm going to do that on the anvil. We're getting pretty close. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. Not exactly what I want yet. You know, I still debate, do I make up another piece? But it is a floor pan. And I think it's going to be all right. Yes. So before I get too carried away, because I may make up a whole new piece, I'm going to trim this back along this edge. And at the same time, I want to have a decent transition. I don't just want to have a square coming up. I mean, there will be a console going in. But what I have to measure right now is the length of the tracks. So, about 18 for the front hole. That means the tracks come all the way back here. No, I don't care about that right now. What I do want is to make this flush. So I'm going to go in a straight line across. Yeah. Okay, here it goes. You know, I'm gonna blast this off because maybe I can just leave the brace and hammer it forward. So I'm actually gonna get my air chisel and pop that off. Look at that. Don't need that anymore. So, we'll get my flashlight. This is what I'm talking about. This brace here. It's all super solid and clean in there. I could just hammer that over. I'm telling myself. Or I can cut it off. And then I can add a support inside. Which is what I'm kind of leaning towards. Yeah, because I can put a heavier piece of angle in there. What to do? Okay, that's what I'm up against. I need to cut this down. So I've got a piece of 1 by 1/8 inch angle. Drilled it. I'm going to put it in on the front of that rear brace. And from there, I'm going to carry forward with another brace to pick up the front. And that way I'm going to carry both tracks. This had good support for a bench seat. Had nothing here in the way for a bucket seat, which is not that big a deal, but seeing I had to shorten this brace by a little bit, this is how I'm going to compensate for the steel I took out. This is way overkill. Going to lightly grind it, prime it, clean up this. I'll put this in here. And then I've got to lay in a brace from here forward to pick up the other side of the seat. Once I have that, I'm going to put the seat in before I put the floor in. Double check I'm really happy with everything. It's a bit time consuming, but I mean, you've got to be comfortable when you're driving and you have to be safe. Nice. Okay, gonna get some primer and prime this stuff up. Okay, attack that. Okay, I'm happy with my height. And this is where I'm going to taper it up because I have to leave room to be able to work on the side of the seat. There's our freaking drive shaft right there. So, just going to put some vice grips in there. And weld across, and then I've got to figure out a brace here. We've got a brace here. Now we'll decide if we're making a new piece of metal or putting the old one back in. So I'll get some vice grips. You can never have enough vice grips. There we have it. You can tell by the sound of that, I better turn up my wire speed. I did get it tacked. Yeah, once you get used to these machines, you can pretty much tell by the sound of them when you got her set up right. Okay. That's good. Now I'm going to remeasure the front seats. I'm going to clean up some of this crap in here. That is a great light. Let's do some light grinding here. Okay. It's a little frustrating when it seems to take so freaking long, but this has got to be strong and last forever. So, I'm not really liking this piece, but if I were to put it here, yeah, okay. So, I've got to find a brace. It's 18 inches, I believe, from here to there. So I'm going to find something, tack it in, try the seat out. Okay, I'm going to put, actually I'm just going to tack this in place. I mean, this isn't what I'll end up using, but I need something to fit. So, just get this ready to go. Okay. Okay. So I'm actually going to tack this in place to check the seat. I know it doesn't look like much. I guess it isn't that much. Okay, I'm going to run a tap through this hole. Because I don't want to fall on my keister again. Now let's put a bolt in there. Try not to finish all the freaking wires. Okay, we're gonna see what this looks like. Right now it's a Fred Flintstone car. Okay, take that. Now. Okay. Ha! That's way better. Okay. Yes. That. I mean, that's still close. Because when you put your headliner in here, I mean, it's going up. But we needed that 1.5 inches there. So I'm happier now. I'm not very happy being centered on the wheel. So I may not be square. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's better. Far up. Moving minuscule amounts make the massive difference. Okay, so pretty pleased right now. I'm going to go grab the steering wheel. I'm going to set it on there. and see how it feels. I'm putting the bolt on, the nuts on, just so it doesn't fall off. Pretty cool. I mean, that is all the way back, max. I also am going to tilt it down a bit. Because most people tilt it down a little bit. You can find the 1/4-inch bolts. Oh, jeez. What it comes down to is if I'm happy with this, I take the seat back up and, well, let's hook it up and see how far forward it goes. There we go. Okay, how far does it go? Ooh, yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I like that. I definitely need a set of these. Well, when I got a wagon, I could sleep in the back, but I could see where. This is pretty cool. Let's see how far ahead it'll go. Make sure it would work for the most vertically challenged of us. Yeah. Whoop. Okay. So that's definitely close enough. I got to take a picture because I want to show this to Lyle. Take some pictures and show them. Okay, there we go. As I always like to say, now we fill in the blanks. Look at that. That's freaking cool. To support that leg on 20,000 kilometer trips. Beautiful seats. I'm glad it's down low. I think we're good. Mission accomplished. Okay, this is bang on. I like this. Centered on the wheel. This is all the way back. I mean, I've got my leg all the way out. This one's gonna be on the throttle. Hand up here, arm out the window. Yeah, and just enough room. So, I think we've got it. So now, I put in some supports. I did a little better refined support in here. So now that I'm happy that it's centered and it's square to the world, I'm going to make some marks now, and I'm going to have to weld some nut surge or something to retain the seat bolts holding it down. So the next side will go really quick. Engineering, research, that takes some time, but we got it, and I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. Cool.